Do you like diamonds?
Yeah, of course I love diamonds. I love diamonds. I don't just like diamonds. I love diamonds.
They're so beautiful, right? They like have fractals of rainbows and they're just treasures. If there were a 24 karat diamond in front of you and there were like little obstacle course to get there, you'd bulldoze through and you would grab that 24 karat diamond.
Right.
If you're telling me that you're unfolding and your 2.0 version of yourself isn't as exciting to you as a rock, I question the 2.0 definition that you have harnessed for yourself.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. For the last few months, I've been on a really big wellness journey. I've really committed to the gym. I do strength training 4 to 5 times a week. I've even improved my diet. And I just feel like I really have been on this journey that has made me feel so much better. And whenever I tell my girlfriends about this, they're like, how do you stay motivated? And for me, that motivation has come from just some really big life changes, but I realize it's not always so easy for everyone. So for today's episode, I thought it would be really great to talk to Ashley Damaj. She's a therapist and human behavior expert. She works with a lot of women all over 40 on fitness and on nutrition, but in general, she really helps keep them motivated and winning at life. So I think this episode will be really great if you're looking to stay motivated in everything. Ashley, I am so excited to have you here because we specifically have had people that are, fitness instructors and people that talk about the importance of working out, which I think all of us already know. We know it's important to work out, but I think the biggest issue is that people have a hard time staying motivated when it comes to their workouts and really being consistent with it to the point where they see change. So you are a behavioral therapist, right? Yes. So I feel like you're the perfect person to talk about this. But before we even get into it, will you explain a little bit more about what you do?
So I'm a behavioral therapist. I am a personal trainer, and I am both a holistic nutritionist and a fitness nutritionist. I only serve women over 40 in my practice.
Okay. And why exactly women over 40 only?
It's around this age that becomes kind of the critical decade for us to care for ourselves in new ways. Men's testosterone drops sort of gradually and steadily after the age of 30, but as women, somewhere between our late 30s and early 50s, we kind of go off of a cliff. So we notice a lot of changes that seem to happen overnight. Some of the things that worked for us back in the day aren't working anymore. And it's really important that we address some of the mental constructs that pop up for us related to identity, self-worth, attractiveness, and also prepare for health span. I think a beautiful market trend is the idea that look, it ain't even longevity anymore. It's about being able to do things that are meaningful to us in advanced age. And that starts, frankly, in our 40s.
I know for you, besides what you actually do for a living, you also are a fitness competitor. And I know that takes a lot of motivation. Do you have anything that you do mentally? Like, what is that process for you to stay motivated?
Yeah, so my hope is to give everyone some really actionable steps for this. And I do think that there's an equation for it. So I'm excited to share it.
We got some notes. I love when people show up with
notes. I have some notes. The first step, I believe, is identifying your highest self.
Okay.
And I think some hints that we can look towards are what tends to evoke the sting of jealousy and envy? What do we have some judgment around? If we're able to get in our flow of creativity and we're playing around with a vision board or Pinterest, what photos do we save? Beginning to get curious about that highest expression, I believe to be step number 1.
So you feel like a lot of the time envy is maybe like keeping people back, holding them back from achieving what they want to achieve?
More so that I believe jealousy and envy is kind of the universe tapping you on the back, being like, hey, babe, you really want that thing. And I think oftentimes it manifests as competition or feeling bad or judgments. Or for me, it was the stories I would tell myself about people. I would see someone who was really fit or had the thing or had the job, and I would make stories up in my head. They must not have kids. They must be a trophy wife. They must have a trust fund, all these different things, which was a total ego defense mechanism to keep me feeling okay that I didn't have those things and sort of tell the tale as to why they did, which the common denominator of judgment, of envy, of jealousy is respect. Once you realize what it takes for someone to run a business that you admire, once you realize what it takes for someone to have a body that you want, you have nothing left but to bow down and respect to understand what it takes. And then you get to decide, am I willing and able to do that? Does it mean enough to me? Like Steve Jobs had this beautiful talk in which he identified that the, barriers that come up in pursuit of a goal, those are simply roadblocks to really weed out who wants it bad enough.
I love that. I love that so much. So step one, find your inspiration.
Yes.
Stop the jealousy and envy and let that be turned into inspiration instead.
Yeah, really crystallizing that 2.0 version of yourself. Like, what does Susan 2.0 look like? How does she walk into a room? Mm-hmm. How does she feel? All of those things. Like, once we can crystallize that 2.0 version, then at least we have a roadmap in which to fix our GPS and just fucking drive.
I love that.
So once we've really crystallized that 2.0 version of yourself, then we need to get clear on the different verticals of life, whether that be spiritual, nutrition, family, relationships, movement, fill in the blank. What goals in what vertical do you need to fixate on and execute on? So basically identifying like where you're at now in relationship to that 2.0 version. And we're seeking to bridge that gap. So we need to get clear on what goals are necessary to execute in order to go from current state to future state.
So let's say I want to reach my 2.0 version. Mm-hmm. So do you start asking me questions about, what are those questions that you would ask me?
Yeah, great question. So in my practice with my clients, I use what I call a spiderweb assessment. So essentially, I open with what looks like a spider web. And on each kind of peak of that web, it would say things like spirituality, nutrition, romance, all these different areas of our lives. And I have 10 pillars of wellness that I focus on in my practice, but it's case by case specific. If I'm working with you and your dogs are like a big part of your life, we might add an extra like line for those. So we want to identify the pillars of well-being in your life, the areas that encompass your 2.0 version. And we go through an exercise and we say, okay, Susan, over the last 6 months, from 1 to 10, 10 being the most satisfied and 1 not being so satisfied, where would you rank yourself in terms of your spiritual life? You might say, okay, it's like a 3. Okay, how about your 2.0 version? Like what does a 10 out of 10 look like for you in this vertical? And you might say, it's meditating every morning, it's spending more time in nature, it's listening to my inner voice a little more closely. And I would say, okay, that's awesome. What is, kind of keeping you from getting there now? And we begin to troubleshoot those areas.
Okay. And do you think all of this affects achieving, even if like I come to you with just one specific goal, like I know I need to work out a little bit more, but do you feel like it's actually this like kind of all encompassing wellness assessment that you need to get through to be able to even focus on one thing that you want to change?
As Lauryn Hill once said, everything is everything.
I love it.
We can only focus on a few things at a time. You're going to end up with a long ass list of goals and things that are kind of that unfolding and that becoming. You're going to get really clear on like what those things are, and you're going to be a little intimidated by it.
Okay.
So I advise my clients in phase 1, which I call kind of like, it's like a little staircase, right? We're kind of incrementally improving the Kaizen approach, right? Incrementally improving over time, 1% better every day. Mm-hmm. We pick 3 of those goals, and then we get real clear on what's blocking us. Okay. Is it knowledge? Is it support? Is it self-belief? What is the thing that's keeping you from expressing fully into that space?
Okay. When it comes to working out at the gym, and I kind of bring that up because I feel like it's an easy one to identify. I feel like most people are just intimidated, right? By either the process of working out or by the gym in general. Like I walk into the gym, I basically started hiring a personal trainer so that I wouldn't be self-conscious about the workouts I was doing. Partially because I was like, well, am I even wasting my time in the gym? But 2, like if I'm doing kettlebell swings, right? It's kind of if you really think about it, it's kind of funny looking, right? If I'm by myself doing that, I think now that I'm confident in the gym, I would do it and I wouldn't think twice about it. But there's something about having like a personal trainer there to like tell me to do it. Like anything that she tells me to do that I would otherwise think was funny looking, I'd be self-conscious about it. But because I'm with a trainer, I'm not self-conscious about it. So do you think there are things like this that we have to unblock?
Thanks for sharing that. Like when I heard you share that, I thought, sounds like there's a little flavor of knowledge gap and a little flavor of, I don't want to say self-belief, but like inner work to do there. So I would say like, it sounded like part of it was I'm not quite sure what to do once I'm in there. That can definitely be a barrier for folks. And then I'm really connected to the coaching of focus more on how it feels than how it looks, whether I'm in yoga or in the bedroom. You know, this is a sound advice to fully express. And I would say, I guess I'm curious for you, maybe where that self-consciousness came from, if that's always been present for you, or...
I guess I'm such a perfectionist that if I'm not doing it perfectly because of that knowledge gap, then I don't want to do it. That kind of thing. Or at least I don't want to do it in front of people.
Okay, so you have just hit on the thing that's going to block you from getting to your health and fitness goals, perfectionism. This is what I see in my practice as the biggest barrier to achieving success. That is fixed mindset. We really want to lean into growth mindset. We want to lean into more how it feels than how it looks. We want to pretend as if Susan were gifted to you as a newborn baby. And it's your job to parent her and raise her and say, you got this. You can go in there. You can fucking bust that hip thrust, honey. You got this. You got it. You were made for this. You look in the mirror. You look yourself squarely in the eye, and you execute from that place of like deep inner knowing and connectedness rather than who the fuck cares what anybody else thinks. But the perfectionism piece tells us all or nothing. It tells us black or white. There is such a tight relationship between perfectionism and burnout and quitting.
That makes sense. Okay, hit me with step 4.
You kind of let us in there. Step 4 is be dogged and have growth mindset. You got to be dogged. I love to coach my team through creating vision boards on Canva wallpaper and sticking them on your phone. This is such a great way to stay intimately connected to your becoming, to your 2.0. If that vision board doesn't excite you, like, I don't know what will. That is from the deepest parts of yourself, what you want the most, those things that you feel excited about. I think we all know those manic episodes in our lives, those times where we wake up and we're like so excited about something. And if your becoming isn't one of those things, then I would ask you to dig a little deeper into step number 1.
I love the idea of having it on my phone like that, just to kind of remind me. So you're saying kind of like, is it like manifestations or like goals?
What I like to do is I like to take the spiderweb assessment, the 10 pillars of well-being. I'm glad to share the exercise with your community if it's helpful. So I'll take that spiderweb assessment and I will say, okay, for me in the vertical of career, what image from Pinterest or Instagram makes me feel excited, maybe jealous, maybe envious? Like, what is that thing that's like, ooh, it's getting me going. I'm excited about that thing. And I capture that. And I capture a photo representation of each pillar of well-being. And I kind of put those into the visual Canva wallpaper for my phone. I also write in my 5 top values in that current season. I recommend this be done on a quarterly basis, just like we do other things in our business and our lives, because it's got to stay fresh. And the great thing is when you start like crossing them off and you're like, oh, I got that one. I'm ready to level up and go to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Okay. Hit me with number 5.
For number 5, I'm going to open with a story.
Okay.
There's a fisherman, and this fisherman lives in Greece. Have you ever been to Greece?
Last year, and I loved it. Beautiful.
Yeah. I haven't yet, but I can see all the pictures of the white and the blue and like how connected to the sea it is. And so this fisherman wakes up every morning in his small village and he lives with his family and he has a slow breakfast with his kids and his wife. And he walks down to the shore and he has one of those fishing nets that's kind of like manila colored and it's old and it's got little bobby things to help it float in the water a little bit. And he goes out and he casts his net and he gets like the most amazing fish, the ones you would see at like Whole Foods, like centered out in front. And he finishes up his day at about 1 p.m. He goes into the city, he sells some fish, and then he goes home. There was a Harvard business professor who was visiting Greece on vacation with his family. And he was like, man, you really got something here. You catch the best fish. I can help you. I can take you from this like small village and we can go like mainstream, baby. We're going to take you to all of Greece. Your fish are going to be everywhere, all over the market. And the fisherman goes, why would I do that? And the Harvard business professor says, because like your net worth could increase significantly. Like you could make so much money. He's like, and then what? He's like, well, then you could become incorporated and you could even go global. And the fisherman says, that's great. Then what? He goes, Well, then you're going to be a billionaire and you can finally retire and move to a small fishing village and wake up late in the day and have a slow breakfast with your family and go out on the sea until 1 p.m. and come home.
Yep.
The moral of the story is oftentimes these goals that we have for ourselves, it's kind of like not necessary. If we're starting at point A and we have this goal to get to point B, oftentimes it's so that we can kind of get to point C, which is oftentimes more similar to A than we imagine. I share this story because I think that it really behooves us to continually reassess the goals that we outline for ourselves. Are they rooted in ego? Are they rooted in power? Now, you talk to a really wealthy person, they say, money doesn't really matter. You talk to a really fit person, they say, fitness won't really make you happy. And it's true. I think that Americans fall victim to destination addiction. I think oftentimes we think that something is going to bring us happiness. And I think, the master's work is to find joy in the minutia, in the sunshine hitting your skin, in the smell of fresh baked bread in your kitchen. So I think it does behoove us to reassess those goals and really ask ourselves where that's coming from. Is it trying to heal a trauma wound? Is it more rooted in like power and ego? Or is it something that we genuinely feel connected to that we wish to pursue for ourselves?
That story is so true. It's like you really are building to just end up with the chill life.
Yeah.
And not be stressed out about it. So step 5 is to kind of reassess constantly and remember what it is that you're actually just trying to achieve.
Yeah.
All right. Number 6.
When we're doing that analysis, we're going to come up against some of these hard questions. We're going to have to really look at ourselves and say like, ooh, is that one like of pure intention, or is that like mirrored by something else, colored by something else? So I do think that we should all change our minds when it comes to reaching a goal. We talked a little bit earlier that the common denominator is respect. There's a great visual that I want to share with you, and it is a pyramid. And there are 4 layers on that pyramid, kind of like a layered cake. The base pyramid is unconscious incompetence. You fucking suck at something and you don't even know that you suck. This is denial state unawareness.
And that's the base.
That's the base.
Okay.
Then we move up to conscious incompetence. Uh-oh, now I know I suck. And that's painful. And most people stop at that point.
Okay.
And good, because we want to weed them out, right? Then we get to the next step, conscious competence. It's really hard to do it well, but we're okay at it. Mm-hmm. And we live in that space for a while.
Okay.
And then we inch up to the top of the pyramid, unconscious competence. We're great at it, and it's like second nature. Think of driving your car. Remember when you were 15 and you got your permit and you were like overcorrecting? We all start bad at something or walking, right? Like the key examples here are a child learning to walk and kind of learning to drive a car until one day you're walking without thinking about it and you're pulling into your driveway. You didn't even know how you got home, Mm-hmm. This pyramid of acuity invites us to really evoke a growth mindset and be part of that process.
So you're saying we need to have a pyramid of acuity going into anything, right? So again, back to like working out. If you're a person that hasn't really been like a gym girly, if you just assume that everyone starts here, right? And you go through this process, you're going to be badass at it.
Yeah. Great. I love that you connected it back to that. You have to be okay at sucking at something. I remember when I started my Instagram account like 6 years ago or so, and I would like hashtag myself and like, put it like you have to be okay to suck at something first in order to be better. There's no other way. There is no shortcut.
We go through it with everything that we experience in life, but some of us decide to keep going, stay the path and get really great at it. And some of us don't.
Yes.
Okay. Hit me with the next one.
That's it, girl.
And that's it. Okay. So these are the kind of like the points that you take your patients through.
Yeah. My clients, my athletes, this is all of the work that we do. I think it is going to be your mindset 100% of the time that prevents you from reaching a goal, which is why I believe that the focus on mindset and human behavior is so critical in our nutritional and fitness pursuits.
So you said you have athletes, but do you have like just your normal everyday kind of woman who maybe has hasn't been in the gym too much, or maybe is in the gym but doesn't really know what she's doing, who comes to you and says, I really need you to work with me?
I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom or if you're 500 pounds, you're an athlete if you're working with me. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. If you're eating, if you're focused on your macros and your calories and you're moving your body through the expressions that I've asked you to, you are an athlete. And I really need all of my clients to own that identity.
I love that. Wait, because that's you. Okay, something that I'm feeling is a theme in everything that you're saying is your motivation is really this positivity. It's like you said, it's that growth mindset. But I also feel like it's shifting how you just like perceive yourself. Right?
Do you like diamonds?
Yeah, of course I love diamonds. I love diamonds. I don't just like diamonds. I love diamonds.
They're so beautiful, right? They like have fractals of rainbows and they're just treasures. If there were a 24 karat diamond in front of you and there were like little obstacle course to get there, you'd fucking bulldoze through and you would grab that 24 karat diamond.
Right.
If you're telling me that you're unfolding and your 2.0 version of yourself isn't as exciting to you as a rock, I question the 2.0 definition that you have harnessed for yourself. I believe that if we really isolate that which excites us, that ultimate expression of ourselves, that's the GPS. You are locked in. If that doesn't make you feel excited, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Kind of walk me through. I come to you. All right. And so we do this assessment, the spider web assessment. What is that next step after you walked me through all of this?
I will take your baseline and I will ask you, Susan, do you want medium, fast, faster, or fastest results?
What do most people say?
It really goes across the board and it really depends on what their goals are. I will take your baseline behavior. I like to do 1 or 2 standard deviations above where you're currently at. But if you're riding the wave of that motivation and you want fastest results, I'll put you like on a program that'll get you there. So my team and I will construct a plan that we believe will assist you in the goal that you have. Quite holistic plan, including like reading materials, habits, behaviors, supplementation, movement routines, and nutrition. You get to do the damn thing. And I offer a very high touch model so that I can coach you through really the mental blocks that come up along that way, really the perfectionism that comes up along that way, and kind of continue to course correct and adjust over time. And then also change those inputs. So each week I'm identifying the outcomes and the dependent variables for my clients. You want to increase muscle mass? I'm going to check your muscle mass every single week. You want lower blood pressure? We're going to check your blood pressure every single week, right? You want lower body fat percentage? We're going to check your body fat percentage each and every week. So you get to do the work during the week. At the end of the week, I get to review all of the inputs as well as the outcomes, and I get to tweak things for the following week. And the support during that time is either one-on-one sessions, either group coaching sessions, or texts in order to support you in that process as you're executing your work.
Okay, so we set our goal. You think checking that every single week is important?
It is in any pursuit, whether it be business, whether it be fitness, whether it be relational, those check-ins to assess how are our inputs impacting the outputs is quite necessary. Otherwise, we don't know what we need to change.
You know, what's funny? So my business, when we first started it, starting from day one, we would do this exercise via Slack where everybody in the executive team would make their guess of what our revenue was for the day. And it wasn't, in the beginning, none of us could really nail it because, you're just starting to sell some products. You don't know if you're going to sell anything that day or if you're going to sell a lot the next day, that kind of thing. But we started to try to get into this exercise where we could name what we thought the revenue was based on what we knew from the day. So around 5 p.m., it'd be call time. What's our revenue by midnight tonight? And as it started to go, by year 2, all of us could essentially nail what our revenue for the day was going to be. Good. And it was because we were doing a daily check-in.
So good, right? So this is a beautiful story that tells us that we train ourselves over time. One of the biggest resistance points from my clients is food tracking. And I'm like, if you don't want to track food, then I don't want you to do it, but you do kind of need to know. You do need to track your food for a couple weeks to identify your baseline. Then you need to track it for a couple weeks, hitting your macros and your calories precisely. And then from that point, we can fade out to more intuitive eating eating and just recommit back to tracking during the zones that you might have a next level goal, or you might be like, oh man, I'm dropping off a little bit. And I share that because you guys didn't know your head from your feet at the beginning, and you were kind of riding along. And then over time, you were able to assess what inputs would lead to certain outcomes. That's all we can do as humans. We need to enhance our algorithm to understand what we're doing now and how it has collateral effect in the future, how it has collateral effect on different areas of our lives, until you get to the point where you're getting that revenue number correct every single time because you have trained yourself to look at those inputs and you can predict the outcome.
So that makes sense now in terms of food and fitness. And actually, you just made me think of something. Do you think if people are trying to accomplish their fitness goals, they really have to align their food goals too?
Nutrition is 70% of your results.
Okay.
Yeah. It also depends on what results we're talking about. Most people want to optimize body composition, which means the reduction of body fat and the increase of skeletal muscle mass in the right areas for them.
Okay. And I mean, this makes sense also for women who are 40 and up because our skeletal mass is very important, right? Because we're prone to osteoporosis and other things that can happen to us.
Oh, so much so. I want to tap back to nutrition if it's okay.
Yeah.
This is something that I believe is a really important distinction to understand that I want to communicate. There are two paths that diverged in the woods. On one path, we have holistic nutrition, and on the other path, we have fitness nutrition. Holistic nutrition says Brazil nuts are great for you because they have selenium, and that's great for your thyroid. And did you know that cruciferous vegetables are great because they can scavenge free radicals, and there's so much fiber in raspberries, and eat organic and eat whole food, and where's the sourcing of this meat from? That is the holistic nutrition, like hill to die on. Holistic nutrition doesn't usually give a shit about calories and macros. But fitness nutrition says, guess what? The only thing that matters is calories and macros. If it fits your macros, you can eat it. That could be comprised of Cheetos and Diet Pepsi. We really don't care about the holistic nutrition side. Most of my clients coming to me are professional holistic nutritionists. Right? Yeah. They've been in the game for a minute. They eat healthy. I eat so healthy. I work out. I don't know why I don't have the body that I want. Yeah. It's because you are not minding the fitness nutrition side.
I feel like you're yelling at me now.
So the goal is to ride the line into the middle, to honor the holistic nutrition gods and honor the fitness nutrition gods, and eat your calories and macros with the constitution of the holistic nutrition piece.
Okay. So give me some examples. So I hear that I need to eat more broccoli because it's going to do X, Y, and Z for my body. But now I have to fit that into how much of that broccoli I should be eating. That's what you're kind of saying? Same with like the protein, all that kind of stuff.
The bigger problem is dietary fats.
Okay.
I will have clients that come to me and eat like 3 whole eggs for breakfast and pop in a handful of nuts throughout the day. Protein and carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram of that food type, and fats contain 9 calories per gram of that food type. Therefore, if you're over consuming dietary fats, your calories are going to jack up quite fast. So what it really means is, hey, Susan, could you mix a cup of egg white liquids with your 1 egg in the morning and whisk it for your scramble instead of 3 whole eggs? Could you keep a 1/4 cup measure in your bag of almonds so that you can just grab that instead of, holding the bag and thinking this is healthy, I'm going to eat it? So that's what it looks like in practice. Most women in our age demographic have gotten the memo that they need to consume more protein, but most of them do it in absence of honoring the fact that there are lean proteins and non-lean proteins.
You're talking about me completely, so keep giving it to me. Yeah.
So what's your favorite protein to consume?
Honestly, it's probably a steak or like ground beef or something, flavor-wise, right?
Yes.
I think chicken is my least favorite, and then probably fish is second.
Yeah. Okay, great. So if you were working with me, I would coach you on planned indulgences. This is my favorite trick for my clients that are managing alcohol consumption. I work with a lot of high-powered women that travel a lot. And one of the places that they consume the most alcohol is, can you guess?
A business meeting.
That's a good one. I'm thinking of a different one, the airport.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes sense. While you're waiting for your plane, and also on the airplane.
Right? And so what planned indulgence asks us to do is say, do you want that $2 chuck? Or would you rather wait till Friday night when you're going to be at home with your family and you're going to crack open a beautiful bottle of some lovely wine?
Yeah.
That's a planned indulgence. When you go on vacation or you're attending a holiday function, because I'm going to go for that Susie Cake's pecan pie or that Fireman Derek's pecan pie for Thanksgiving dessert, it makes it a little easier to say no to the cheese and cracker plate. So I really coach to utilize planned indulgences. And this comes into the protein conversation because most of the time my clients come to me and they're eating red meat for almost every dinner. And I'm like, hey, could we like maybe look forward to a Snake River Farm steak on Friday night instead of like having your like Costco red meat like every day of the week? Can we plan that indulgence because we know the impact of saturated fats to cholesterol, because we know that that's not going to optimize your body composition? And P.S., how can I teach you to make that grilled chicken delicious on your Komodo Joe with the right marinades?
Right. You know what? Something I do, a trick I do is if I'm with someone, so you have to always be with someone, I'll be like, let's say a dessert comes out and I'll be like, I want to see what they say about that dessert first. And I'll say, is it worth the calories, basically? Because it's like, do you really want to mess up your diet or however you're living?
Yeah, great.
For something that's not even worth it.
Yeah. And I think this is where there's a term in behavioral psychology called the Hawthorne effect, which I think is a really fascinating concept. And the Hawthorne effect says, without changing anything, in absence of intervention, just the mere fact of documenting what you do changes your behavior. And that's awesome because it tells us that if you track before you snack, which I ask my clients to do, fill in your food log so you see how this choice impacts your day and your goals. Once you do that, it's that honest moment to be like, is this worth it? So look, there's no silver bullet like magic to weighing yourself every morning. It's not going to like make you lose weight. There's no like, tracking your food isn't going to like make you lose weight, but it's that moment of saying, okay, like I'm doing this thing. I'm bringing more awareness to this. Let me come back to the Hawthorne effect. The Hawthorne effect, it helps you change your behavior just simply by measuring it. What we measure, we manage. And I think that whether we're talking about body weight on a scale or we're talking about logging food, it gives us that moment to be like, okay, I'm focused on this goal.
This is a little bit off topic, but I had a personal trainer on who got the internet really pissed off by saying that ellipticals are a big scam in the fitness industry. What's your thought on that?
Yeah. I think that as a behavioral therapist, the coaching to my clients is we need to give you movement that you're excited about. I want you to move your body forever in a way that feels expressive to you. If you're like, Ashley, I fucking love the elliptical machine. Like it's my favorite thing to do. I love to get on there and diddle on my phone and listen to my music. I just love the way it feels like I'm like skiing. Then I'd be like, great, like do the elliptical. Do I think it's the most optimal piece of equipment for the goals that my clients typically seek me out for? No, but cardio is cardio. If you're getting your heart rate to a certain point, I have a chronic hamstring injury, so I can't run like I want to. I use the elliptical at times to achieve a certain heart rate. So I want to always coach people to say, what is your goal and what is your limitation? If you want a program that you feel excited about and you have a hamstring injury, an elliptical could be the perfect piece of equipment for you. If you're fully healthy, you hate the elliptical and you want to get to stage, I would personally program a different like workout design for you rather than the elliptical. But I'm not a big fan of saying like one thing is, ridiculous or not valid. I think it always depends on the variable of the person who is involved in the movement.
I love that answer. Very behavioral therapist answer.
Yeah.
That's a good one. When a person starts the program with you to accomplish their goals, whether it's lifestyle, wellness, fitness, dietary, how long is that from start to finish usually?
Oh man, it really, really depends on how impacted the client is and also whether they desire to participate in a program for a long time. I would say my typical package is 3 months long.
Okay.
And then clients have the opportunity to extend after that point if they wish to. If I am doing a discovery call with a client who's more impacted, I might not be comfortable like taking them for less than 6 months, but on average, like you probably know what you're doing. in the gym to some extent. And you might just like working with a trainer. That's cool too. Like, I'm really proud of my retention rate. I've had clients for 4 or 5 years that just like the program and they want to stay on the Zoom calls every week. And that's great. I'm honored for that. But on average, if I'm not offboarding a client after 6 months, I'm probably not doing my job that well.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So step one, we do this consultation, then we go into assessing everything, setting the goals. And then by 3 to 6 months, we should be accomplishing.
You should have proven results and you should know exactly what we have done to get those results so that you can do them on your own.
Yeah.
And then you have the decision point to say, I just love this vibe and I want to stick around, or I'm going to fly the coop. I'm going to test it out on my own. I know I can always come back and I can have a one-off session here or there if I need to, but I don't need that comprehensive touch. I don't need so much accountability anymore.
Okay. And then for someone who just doesn't have the ability, maybe it's monetary or something, ability to work with someone like you, what would be your advice to them to get started?
Oh, there's so many great books that I would love to recommend to people that are in pursuit of goals and don't have the funds to hire coaches. So I would love to share that list with you. It's way too long to
we'll put it in the description
right now. But yeah, I think all of the information's out there. Humans haven't changed that much in a long time. To be frank, coaching programs typically help you be seen and kind of spoon feed you the information that's all over my Instagram account and many other people's accounts. Like, it's really not, like, I understand there's conflicting information out there. So I would say that step number one is to get a valid strategy. Like, my 5-day challenge, I think, has some of the fundamentals and it's free. People can access it. So I would say once you kind of know the right strategy, build a circle of support. Be that coach and that leader within your community. Get other people excited about it. Be the weird one who invites people to take a walk after dinner. Continually educate yourself in your own self-belief and your own unfolding through reading. Strategy, community, and continuing education.
Ashley, thank you so much. I feel like I learned so much, and I have some even some terms like planned indulgences. I'm gonna take that with me and really utilize that. So Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara, and if you enjoy beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. I'll talk to you soon.